Thank you for tuning in to the official IU Illinois football preview with Grant Shouse and Mike Hutsell. And we were joined at the end by Michelle Garmon of the Tipton Tribune and Elwood Call Leader. I know we've talked about the Illinois-Indiana game for about 5 weeks now, but this is the official preview with key matchups, analysis, and our predictions. And here I am, your host, Greg Mengel. Welcome, Hoosier fans, to the Central Indiana Sports Report for our official IU Illinois football preview podcast. We're here to talk about the key matchups and what the Hoosiers... I'm just kidding. We're just here to talk about how much Illinois sucks.
This is the 5th official Illinois preview podcast, I believe.
Yeah, and if I wasn't clear in the first 4, Illinois is impossible to take seriously.
I'm so ready for this game to be done and over with. I'm so sick of Illinois, and the icing on the cake would just be to beat their ass on Saturday night.
How could you ever not be sick of Illinois? It's a horrible state with a terrible. I mean, they had Blagojevich. This goes back generations at this point, so nothing good has ever happened. Like the Midwest, stepbrother, I think. They have a town called Burnt Prairie, which I think is kind of cool. But when I say town, I'm using that very loosely. If you've ever been to Burnt Prairie, I apologize.
Name one good thing to come out of Illinois.
Hugh Hefner.
Look.
Sure.
Ohio sucks, Michigan sucks, Wisconsin sucks, Kentucky sucks. But I at least take those states seriously. Illinois, how do you take it seriously?
I don't want to lose credibility on here because I do think we talk about good things. But you're right, Illinois you can't take it seriously. School seriously. I think it's just kind of a
little brother university.
Sure. I mean, it's just
they're not our little brother. We don't want. They're not in the family. Little brother is like Purdue. We don't even send the Illinois Christmas cards. We don't know them. Other than they play on Saturday, this will be the last time I think of Illinois football this year.
Up until you're starting to put the college football playoff resume together, and you're like, yeah, that Illinois team turned out to be pretty good, and we beat them.
No, that's not what's going to happen. You're going to look back and go, remember when they were ranked 9th when we played them? Man, what a joke they turned out to be.
I hope you're right. I don't care how it happens. I don't care where Illinois ends up after this week as long as Indiana wins the game.
That's right.
I mean, I'm so tired of thinking about it. I'm tired of talking about it. And I know everyone down there at IU and probably at Illinois are thinking the same thing. They're just ready to go put it together between the lines. And it's one of those games where I think for Indiana, there's so much talk, there's so much preparation that goes into it that at this point in the week on Wednesday, they're probably ready to go out and play. I wouldn't be surprised if they've had one of their better weeks of practice all year, and they're ready to just throw it all out there on the field and go play on Saturday night.
While Graham was talking, I started, okay, look, this can't be a completely negative podcast. Portillo's, that's out of Chicago. That's
True.
Good.
Yes.
Their pizza sucks. We're not even going to talk about a casserole that's masquerading as a pizza. Air Jordans are a result of Michael Jordan. My shoe collection is but the shoe collection is because of what he did in Chicago. So I have to give it that.
Chicago itself isn't the worst place in the world. It's got some cool things. But the rest of the state and Champaign, don't even get me started. It makes Terre Haute look like paradise.
St. Louis is bad enough on its own, but the shitty part of St. Louis is in Illinois.
Sure.
I mean, that's pretty freaking hard to do.
All right, let's talk about the Hoosiers, guys. They've kind of passed 3 tests that were pretty easy to pass, but those people who watch football can tell. This team is solid, all levels of both sides, I believe, and going to be a very hard out in the Big Ten.
Yeah, I agree. And the reason Indiana has been successful to this point is because of its defense.
What, the 73 points last week didn't impress you?
Well, that, but I mean, defense wins championships. It's the old saying. And Indiana, again, we talked about the other night, is that when you really think about it in the grand scheme of things, they've given up only 2 plays. They've given up 2 touchdowns. And you can live with letting Kennesaw score, 3 stupid field goals from, 28 yards out. You can deal with that. But here's a stat, and this is the stat I wanted to share with you guys. In 2024, I'm going to go to 2024 before I tell you about 2025. In the non-conference games, see, Indiana's schedule last year was set up a little different in where they played Florida International, Western Illinois, then they played UCLA, then they had a non-conference game against Charlotte. So at this point, they were already 1-0 in the Big Ten and had not played Charlotte a year ago at this time. But here's what I'm going to tell you. In those non-conference games last year, this is what Indiana did. Indiana allowed 45 snaps combined between their opponents in IU territory. Florida International snapped the ball 16 times in Indiana territory. Western Illinois snapped the ball 7 times in IU territory. All 7 of those were on one drive. And Charlotte snapped the ball inside IU territory 22 times. That goes for a total of 45 times in those non-conference games. And that was last year in 2024. This year in 2025, in the non-conference, Indiana allowed Old Dominion to snap the ball 0 times inside IU territory in the opener. They allowed Kennesaw State to snap the ball 19 times in week number 2 inside IU territory. And inside IU territory last Friday, Indiana State snapped the ball only 6 times. Indiana has held their opponents to only 25 snaps inside IU territory this season. That is 25 times that the opponent has gotten the ball into Indiana territory in the first 3 games. For Illinois, it's just how many snaps they've allowed inside their territory, how they're letting their opponents move the ball down the field. Western Illinois snapped the ball in Illinois territory 22 times. Duke snapped the ball in Illinois territory 45 times. And Western Michigan snapped the ball inside Illinois territory 28 times. They've allowed their opponents to snap the ball at least 95 times. That is a give or take number from what I could count, but it is around 95 times they've allowed their opponents to snap the ball inside Illini territory. And Indiana, again, has only allowed their opponent to snap the ball 25 times. So what that tells you is that Indiana is not allowing their teams to get a good pace and move the ball up and down the field. And Illinois has allowed that. And I don't know what the stat is among teams in the country on snaps inside their own territory, but I mean, Indiana's got to be up there in the country and, not letting the opponent get the ball inside IU territory. So that was an interesting stat I found. And I think, the offenses are going to do their thing in this game. Illinois is going to be able to make plays. They have a good quarterback. But I think this game's going to be won with defense.
Greg called the non-conference the test. I mean, if there's ever been an open book test, I'd say it was this Indiana pre-conference schedule. But the things you want to see when you're playing these 3 opponents is things like Grant just said. They're not just beating these teams, they're absolutely manhandling them. And a stat that I found and heard was the Indiana State game. And granted, this is Indiana State. Caveat's always going to need to be put out there. It's Indiana State. I get it. Indiana State dropped back to pass 20 times. Do you know how many quarterback pressures they had on those 20 dropbacks?
How many?
20. Wow. Every pass attempt, Indiana was credited with a QB hurry in that game. That's wild. I mean, and Illinois' offensive line, as we've talked about, they're rated right now by PFF 17th out of 18 in the Big Ten. If Luke Altmaier's running for his life back there. He's a good quarterback. 3-year starter, can do a lot of things, but if you're throwing him off his rhythm, getting him moving, there's only so much he can do. It's going to look like a little bit like Rourke looked last year in Ohio State if that trend continues, where it was just he had no time to do what the Indiana offense wanted to do.
On the head right there, Mike. And this just led me to think about this here is that all these Illinois people are whining about how Indiana's overrated and all this, but when you actually break down the stats and you break down what Indiana has done and what they're capable of doing, Indiana is miles better, the better team. And the only argument that Illinois fans have, and maybe, and it's a fair argument, I understand, but the only argument they have is that Indiana hasn't played anybody, and they're right. I saw a very funny video today that an Illinois fan posted of the prime New England Patriots with Tom Brady, and it said how Indiana fans described Old Dominion. I thought that was pretty funny. And I saw an Indiana account retweet it and said, this was Old Dominion. So, but then again, even in the Old Dominion game, they dominated the game, over 500 yards of total offense. Indiana has a top 3, I believe, rushing offense in the entire country. And somehow we failed to mention the other night there, without Lee Beebe for the rest of the year, he's out with an injury. But Kobe Martin stepping in there, he had a great game against Indiana State last Friday. I wouldn't be shocked if he doesn't get a boatload of carries for the rest of the year and comes in as that third running back spot. But Indiana has just manhandled their opponents to start the year. And not that Illinois hasn't, because Illinois dominated Western Illinois. They beat Western Michigan 38-0, but Western Michigan was not very good. And they beat Duke, but that game was closer than what the score depicts. So there's a lot of things you can take away and nibble at and kind of digest here. But just on paper, Indiana just looks like the better team.
Yeah, and the thing is if you take out preseason rankings, you know how I feel about preseason rankings. If you stripped everything down, took the two names off both teams, went by the computer numbers, side by side, what they've done at this point in the season, I think blind resume, people would look at the numbers and say, the team on the left is the 9th best team, the team on the right is the 19th best team. Well, the team on the left, I think you would find would be Indiana. The team on the right would be Illinois. But because of where these teams were ranked coming into the year, Illinois had that preconceived notion because they beat South Carolina in a bowl game last year. That's why we're here where we are. That they're in the top 10. Indiana lost to the two teams that played for the damn national title last year and didn't get any preseason buzz because of it. So they started out lower, and that's why they're 19th. They didn't play anybody to climb any higher than 19th. I want to keep going back to that because I don't want people to say, well, these people are complaining. We get it. The schedule's been soft. But that's by design.
A lot of schedules have been soft. Hasn't been as soft as USC's.
Well, but USC got a conference road win, Greg, against...
I agree.
The Purdue fans I've talked to have led me to believe that Barry Lombardi is going to have this team back in the Rose Bowl in a couple of years.
Sorry. I'm here thinking about Illinois and just ready to get it over with. We've been saying it. Just want the game to kick off on Saturday, and I'm sure Illinois is thinking the same thing. Though they're ready to stop hearing about Indiana. The bad thing is that if Indiana wins, you're going to hear all the whining still about Indiana from the Illinois people, and that's fine.
Don't forget the Nebraska people too. Nebraska just hates Indiana.
Well, Nebraska is still talking about Indiana from last year.
And Indiana smoked their butts.
By the way, everybody, Michelle Garmon of the Tipton Tribune and Elwood Call Leader is here with me. All right, guys.
Hey, guys. We got to go back to I remembered something else about Illinois. Cindy Crawford's from Illinois.
Yeah, that's good. So, I'm sure there are some good things. There are even some good things that have come from Kentucky.
Wait, did Grant just drop a who's that to Cindy Crawford?
Yes.
Oh, my gosh. Man.
Great.
We grew up in different cultures.
I don't care how young you are, Grant. You're a male. You should know who Cindy Crawford is.
Your one good thing that's come out of Kentucky, Greg's got to be Kentucky Fried Chicken.
It's true.
Wait. Harlan Sanders from Henryville, Indiana.
I knew you were going to say that, Mike.
And where does my son go to school? Henryville, Indiana.
Is there a connection?
The Fighting Hornets, Island Hills, tomorrow. Throw the records out when they get together.
We're going to preview that right after the IU Illinois preview.
We're coming straight for you, Jake Gunn, or whatever the hell your name is. I think before we get into scores, we got to set some over-unders. We did this last week. Over-under, Indiana, 174.5 rush yards as a team on Saturday.
Over. Yeah.
Michelle?
I think it's almost right at, actually.
Yeah. I'll say under, just a little under. They're going to have bigger passing yards.
Okay, that was going to be my other over-under, 275 pass yards for Fernando Mendoza on Saturday.
Over.
Elijah Surratt may have that many receivers.
Over. I mean, between Surratt and Cooper, oh my gosh.
Yeah. Surratt may have 285.
This is
Cooper
a guy
could have 285 by himself.
This is a guy we need to see get going because of all the things that have happened well in the preseason. This guy just hasn't got home. Over under a sack and a half for Mikhail Kamara.
Oh, yeah, you're right. 100%. He's got to get more involved. You haven't heard from him. You literally have not heard from this dude.
And we haven't needed his disruption.
Yeah.
Kennesaw, not a high-powered pass attack. Indiana State, come on.
Terrible.
I've been watching them and the line, though. I actually focused on Kamara because the games have been out of hand, and he's gone hard. He's getting a lot of the look, but I think Indiana has kept their defense very vanilla for 3 weeks. You haven't really seen a lot of blitzes. You haven't seen a lot of stunts. And I think that's intentional. I don't think they wanted to give him anything on tape to pick up. I think they're hoping to confuse him. Illinois' offensive line is a little suspect. And I just think their defense, maybe I'm wrong. I think they've just kept it very vanilla. Some zone in the secondary, giving cushion, not what we're used to seeing.
I'm certain.
Going back to Michelle's point there, where they've kept the defense pretty vanilla, I could say the same thing for the offense. They've kept things pretty under wraps here these first 3 weeks, and I don't blame them. If you notice, they kind of did that. They kind of did that in the first few games of the year last year. They kept it pretty vanilla. We know for a fact the first 2 weeks of the year before UCLA, and then UCLA, they kind of opened the playbook a little bit. You're going to see them open the playbook, no question more this week. So it's...
Well, I think Sig and Shanahan put a little bit out there just to give Illinois something to think about, because they did have the big reverse to Cooper and the Kennesaw game. Yes. They threw the ball a lot more against Indiana State than they ran it early on. So they put a little more on film just to give Illinois a little something to think about, just to look for. But I do think they are going to open things up quite a bit substantially on that side. Probably on both sides of the ball. I do think Indiana has two just phenomenal coordinators. I've questioned Shanahan in big games because I feel like those were the two games where Indiana was most conservative last year, was Ohio State and Notre Dame. I don't know if it's because he didn't think they could handle the physicality, so he kind of buttoned things up a little bit. And I hope we don't see that again on Saturday.
In hindsight, I think it was more because Rourke was playing on a torn ACL. He wasn't 100%. And I think that was some of it, trying to keep some of that pressure off of him. I like Mendoza. He doesn't quite have, I don't think, sees the whole field quite as well as Rourke did, being able to go off. But I just like his he's got great hips when he runs. I mean, he elusive hips. And it makes me wonder if he's got a little bit of a wrestling background, because I know that some of the best running backs that Tipton's ever had were really good wrestlers.
All right, guys, let's make predictions. Thank you so much. By the way, that's a good chance to remind everybody that we're at Tipton Municipal Golf Course. Great place, great people. Come out and golf. I want everybody to make their final prediction, and I'm going to start, and I say 30-10, Michelle. IU, obviously.
I hate predicting scores. I will say IU by 10 to 21 points.
So we both say 3 touchdowns.
I will take Indiana 42, Illinois 24.
Wow.
Indiana 31-27. Illinois gets the cover on a late touchdown, but Indiana kind of controls things going into late in the fourth quarter.
I think it's over by the middle of the third quarter.
I hope you're right, man.
I hope you're right. I hope it's another Nebraska. There was so much fun to sit and watch last year.
I want it to be another Nebraska.
Mike, I'll be looking for you on Saturday.
The buzz is all around. The orange clowns are coming into town. They say the team is good, but they're Illinois, so we're obviously dubious. Hoosiers by 3 touchdowns. Hoosiers by 3 touchdowns. Hoosiers by 3 touchdowns. The IU report is here with wisdom to impart. Time to forego some of these basketball traditions. Not you, Martha. Never, ever, ever get in line behind Brett Bielema at a porta potty. It's a small space. Hoosiers by 3 touchdowns. Hoosiers by 3 touchdowns. Hoosiers by 3 touchdowns.
The Central Indiana Sports Report is a product of ITG Media, and I love Susie.